So let's see if we can get through with this without someone bothering me or trying to call me or trying to talk to me. Here at Prestman, we sell about 20 4Runners a month. And I do a lot of 4Runner videos, so I thought I should make one that's kind of a little longer and explain 4Runners. I just sold this one. It's got gigantic wheels and running boards. And it's a TRD off-road. It's actually a TRD off-road premium, which tells you a lot of things also. Because it's not quite as cut and dried as one would think. Here we are moving stuff around here at Prestman. There's the Cornwell tool guy, customers, and Explorers. We sell a lot of Explorers too, so I mean you'll see a lot of those. And Jeeps. I just sold a couple of Jeeps too. Anyway, I was going to walk past some 4Runners and explain kind of the difference. I have one TRD Pro up there on the rack. That's a 2022. It's really good looking. TRD Pros tend to be the most expensive of the 4Runner line. I wouldn't even say tend to, I would just say they are the most expensive of the 4Runner line. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, the cachet associated with it being a 4Runner. TRD Pro makes a difference. That one's going. And then second, there are a couple options that delineate it from a regular old off-road. So we'll start down here with the green TRD Pro. You've seen this in my videos if you've watched. This is the lime green Rush. So if we were to come in here and look back behind the tire, you see it's got the Fox TRD Pro shocks. And these are engineered for the vehicle. And that makes one bit of difference. The second thing is, if we look underneath, it has skid pads and skid protectors back through the rear end. It also has locking diffs, which allows it to be more dynamic on rock crawling expeditions if you want to go be the king of Moab or whatever and upgrade it. This is an equivalent 2022 TRD off-road, and actually it's a TRD, no, just a TRD off-road. That's funny. Interesting. Anyway, and if we were to look here, we would cruise back and you'd see the suspension system is different. It doesn't have the reservoir shocks, even though it does have the locking rear diff specifically, and crawl control. It doesn't have the front skid plate. This one does have what's called the KDSS suspension, which is a beefier front end suspension for the off-road, and it's actually an option you get on your 4Runners. So an off-road, even though it is a TRD off-road, might not have the KDSS suspension. This white one just sold. It's got this cool, bumper on the front, and if you look at the suspension system, it is drastically different because it does not have the KDSS, which ends up making it a little cheaper. Right here, we have the SR5. Now the SR5 is a base model 4Runner. This one's an SR5 Premium. Premium just means it has the synthetic leather and the sunroof and that kind of thing. And if we reach back here and look, you'll see an even more generic suspension system, if I can get a good angle. And inside, it's pretty much the same, except it lacks the crawl control and the diff locks. And that makes it a very different 4Runner. Significantly cheaper, but in reality, you can see front suspension's about the same as that TRD off-road. In reality, most people aren't going to use the features. There's a sunroof. This is a TRD off-road. Most people aren't going to use the features associated with the 4Runner. So what are you going to use it for? Are you using it for camping? Are you using it for off-roading? Are you using it for cachet among your friends to say, I have a TRD Pro? And maybe ask yourself when you're shopping if it's worth the extra $10,000 generally for that badge and those suspension systems.